You have been working with this business model canvas yesterday, and there you were introduced to different concepts. So again, to start sharpening all this verbalization of your idea, your business plan, etc., and perhaps even also start delimiting some of your ideas. That's what I sort of could catch from your conversations. This was too wild or too off or spreading in many directions. But these concepts, help you also in dialogue with each other, that I need to delimit it, I need to be more sharp, precise on certain things. And now we're going to work on the foundation. That's the economist saying that, of course. The foundation here of this business model canvas, the whole cost structure and the revenue streams. So I will also introduce you to some concepts or tools on how to look at costs and give you a frame for how should that be put up if you're going to send a business plan for funding, be it private or public, etc. So I will also be in a dialogue with you to actually build up this sort of structure of a cost structure or a contribution margin sheet, as it's also called. And I have made one for you, a formal one in Excel, and that will be sent to you, but I would like to have a little dialogue with you on this. But this, so I'll introduce you to different concepts and how to sort of attack this. But another thing in this exercise here is that you will probably experience that once you start putting numbers to your words, on all your wordings that you had here in terms of customers, relationship, channels, and what's your key activities, etc., that you will start realizing that perhaps some of it is not quite realistic, maybe some of it is even unrealistic, and you will have to go back to what you were written here or thought was, a fine idea. So you'll have to modify and change. You will probably have this experience. And that's, of course, the whole idea of also sharpening and strengthening your business plan, being much more precise again and ready for delivering, and also one day acceptance for funding. Any questions so far? You're fine. Sounds good. When I was listening to your presentations yesterday, I start thinking, of one concept that also perhaps you should be thinking of and ready for clarification in your mind and your setup is, when we talk about business aquaponics, is this a goal to have an aquaponic production system, or is it really a mean to start having other more interesting things that you want to work with? Because there was a lot of things, I want to work with tourism, I want to work with some educational aspects, I want to work with training, etc., etc. So this is something you have to sort of have in your mind and clarify, and I'm sure once you start putting numbers to the costs of doing different things, you'll have to clarify, is this where I make most of my money in these more sexy things, or rather than the aquaponic production itself? A little like what Reinhard was giving an example yesterday with this tomato production, that within the event economy, you start making perhaps more money than the production of tomatoes itself, etc. And that's, I could hear for several of you, that aquaponics was a kind of a mean to something else that was much more interesting for you. And that's fine. There's no problem with that. All right, let's go to the structure then of how to build these costs and what type of cost do we actually work with. We have your fish and your plants. I just want to introduce some other concepts here because I already did. Maybe I'll do a red one. Because this is where is your income coming from? So of course you're going to have fish and plants in the aquaponic production system, but several of you are working in this event economy, as the economists call it. So this was about tourism, food events. Some of you talked about having a shop also. Some even a virtual one. So I'll refer to every one of you, all the things that you presented first. So, so you also have something you go home with instead of just feeling, I only had to work with a few business cases or so. So I will be referring to all of you as much as I can and remember, etc. So already here, when you start having to build up a contribution margin sheet, when I talk about tourism, what am I talking about? Am I talking about 5 tourists? Am I talking about 500 tourists? Am I talking about 5,000? And what am I going to do with these tourists? What are they going to buy from me? What kind of event is it that they really will purchase from me? And all this will start relating to what is the size of your production system? So how many fish are you going to produce? How many plants are you going to produce? What kind of plants? So all this start becoming related. And this is where the economy will catch you, because you will start have to put numbers on this once you formulate your ideas, and you will have to see that it's somehow aligned. So how many tourists do you talk about here? What about these food events? Is it every week? Once a month? Every day? Life, was it life? Yeah. You talked about a shop, even a virtual shop. Is it you alone, running from your production system, going to the shop when the bell is ringing, looking into the computer, how many ordered today? Or are you having employees? How many? So and so and so. So this is where I'm saying you will probably experience already that you will have to go back to my ideas that I formulated, sort of vaguely or whatever, or in headings. I would like to work with these things. My black guy there. The other heading I would like to introduce to you is this. I could do this black. Public goods. So this was about education. Education, training. Something also with social work. Working in specific urban areas with problems, unemployment, many foreigners or whatever. So if this is part of if the aquaponics is a mean to work with public goods, so how much is this going to be of your income then? How much education are you going to do? Is it every week? Is it every day? With schools? What kind of training do you want to work with? Or in what kind of social setting? And who's going to pay for this? That you also have to think of. And how will this payment structure look like? Are they paying your wages? And then you contribute with the fish and the plants and try to make an income from that? Or are they who are interested, the municipality interested in these public goods, will they pay and support your production system? And then you have to earn money from that and contribute with this, or what? Or maybe both, right? Just to inspire you and think, and how do you actually construct this? And you might not have an answer. This will be a dialogue with these municipalities, these entities, of what kind of agreements can you get into it. The last thing I was catching from what you were presenting was, I call it services. So, I'll put red. Services. So some of you were having this with, what was it? That was Enrique. You were, this is about, what did I call it actually, my wording? Caretakers. It's well known for some companies that deliver plants, take care of plants in offices. So, nobody in the office, forgot to water the plants or whatever and take the dirty leaves off. There are companies doing that, so they clean out, come with new plants. I thought it was like a similar thing that you were thinking of helping people run an aquaponics system. Yeah. I think you were also talking about that, weren't you? sort of a little, yeah. So there was this like being a caretaker. And then some of you also talked about research. So it's kind of applied research that you wanted to also be part and therefore get some funding. Eh? So again, is this something that a very big part of your sales, aquaponics is a mean to get funding and do sexy things, interesting things, etc., related to your education, and so on so. So these are something you'll have to clarify, and I think that these numbers you'll have to put in will help you clarify this, and that's the whole idea, of course, to make a business plan again stronger, more aligned, more targeted, more sharp, right? More successful. Yes, that's what I would say so far about this, but let's go to the costs then. This was all your income. What type of income is it that you expect from all this? And again, clarify, is it a mean, is it a goal, what is it I really want here? What type of cost do you have? Running an aquaponic business, different sexy businesses or whatever. Heat. Feeding. Should we, one way to, also make a good structure is, okay, so this is around, what's related to the fish? Feeding. Fingerlings. Yeah, so then we start having something about resources. Eh? So you said was electricity? Heating. Yeah. Yes, because electricity for what? You see, there was like light is a big post if you are. Water, yeah. Personal costs. Labor, yeah, okay. Personal costs, you start thinking of your perfume or your whatever. So, very personal, Okay. So we have labor is also a resource that you put in. Yeah. Variable costs. And what you're starting to talk about is called the fixed costs. Fixed cost is something you just can't get rid of just like that. Eh? So you're bound. Once you've made your investment, then it locks you. And not Vibeke. Alice mentioned that you'll start have to depreciate on these costs as well. But these are variable. They vary with the production conditions. Right? So all these things that you start deciding over here in your business canvas. What is it that I'm going to produce? My key resources, channels, productions, output. Your decisions on that, will influence your costs here. Right? And so when we start summing everything up, do you have a minus or a plus? Eh? And that's when maybe the exercise is that you will have to go back and revise something. Maybe you will have to think of your business plan as something that works out in phases also, right? Anything else in the variable costs that could vary? Seed, yes. Yes, so we have the plants. Seed. The Yes, that could also, yeah, fertilizer. Anything else with that?
Yeah, the whole system, like all the tanks and the pipes and the pumps.
This goes over here. We can also do the same here, fish. So you have all this, you're mentioning tanks, pumps, pipes, tools.
Instruments, measurement instruments.
Yeah, sometimes they can be scraped off quickly in a tax term, but it's okay. What we call that? IT technology, or are you satisfied with that, or you want to have something else? So again, here you could make additional underheadings on marketing costs. You know, what is that for IT, websites, paper advertisement, or do you go out and promote? You know, there's a whole line again. But it's good with these headings, you know, so again, think about it, you know, what is it I really want here? And you mentioned something else, Alice? Yeah, if you had a processing actually, yeah. So then if you had a processing in this, and that could be long here, you know, I didn't put it actually, yes, this with food events, some of you were talking about, maybe you would have to have like a kitchen, right? So you'll have to install a kitchen or something else in your fixed costs, and then you will have these variable costs either on labor or inputs to the processing, etc. Glasses, can, you know, the way we just were today. So they had plastic bags, boxes, everything. Packaging. Yeah. Anything else in fixed costs? If you rent a place, that will be depending on the contract. You know, if it's here or there.
By the way, if you buy it, you will have to pay the
Depreciate it. Yeah, you would depreciate. Yeah.
So the location is attached. There's a cost attached to the location.
I will just wait with that because then I just want the rest of it. Because you when you have this as a cost, you don't deduct everything. You know, normally you have, now I'm saying it anyway, you will deduct like most countries it's like 25% each year of the price. So if you buy something for 100,000, you deduct 25,000 the first year, so you have 75,000, then you deduct 25% of that and you end up with something. So you have kind of a curve sort of going like this over the 10 years. Eh? Yeah.
Missing the insurance.
Insurance is a cost as well. Yeah. You can choose if it's a fixed or variable because if it's to the machinery or whatever. Right? If it's to manpower, it can be here. But you can also say it's simply a fixed cost to running a business. So you can choose that. That's not so. Yeah. What else is on fixed costs? Land can be, yeah. Buildings. What kind of building do we put our or our aquaponic production in? A greenhouse, yeah. Do we just have fish in the greenhouse?
Aquaculture building and the processing building, and then also if you have employees, you need a room for the restroom and kitchen and stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's something you can. It will be on the buildings, and you will have a depreciation of that, etc. Yeah. We just produce fish in the greenhouse.
You need storage.
Storage.
Yeah, with storage.
Storage.
Cooling room.
Okay, yeah. So you have, but again, you know, it's all here. Yeah. I mean, what type of buildings do you have then? Storage, processing. If you're doing that, it doesn't have to be.
And of course,
Labor rooms. Not women laboring, but yeah. Plants, yeah.
Did you put aquaculture also because not always this is agriculture under your
Greenhouse.
yeah.
Yeah. No, you will have a separate building, perhaps. Yeah, yeah. But this is what it's like what you're buying, what you need to buy for the fish. And I was talking the plants, you know, what do you need to buy for producing the plants?
Some people know that robots and harvesting, so big machines that can harvest the whole tray at once, and so production line, those are good for us.
Yeah, so you need some kind of grow beds, eh? Or NFT pipes, or lights.
And also pumps and pipes, of course.
Yeah, but they will probably be interlinked, eh? Yeah. Yes, but that will be here. I was missing it here. A variable cost. Yeah, but they are variable. That they will be varying with your production. Yeah, it's not something you will depreciate. It's a cost immediately. Boom. Yeah. Yeah. We didn't have it here, eh? Grow media. Oh, can't read it anymore. Anything else in the greenhouse? You have in a greenhouse? When it gets cold and dark?
The sort of climate control system.
Yeah, yes, the whole computer system, IT again. We also have curtains to keep the heat in the cold countries. What? Who said something? Yes, that you want to pump that in? CO2 equipment. Yeah. So this is what something this will have a huge cost, or depending on what kind of system. But this is the big part of it. And what you do is sort of technically you depreciate over normally 10 years, but a greenhouse probably 20 years, depending from country to country. Buildings also 20 or 30 years you depreciate. So what it is, if you have a full cost again here with 100 million euro, you will start taking 25% of that, 25% of the next, and so on, so on, so. I have given you a formula, so to make an average calculation. So it can be very, taking a lot of time to calculate your depreciation costs. So I've given you a formula on this Excel sheet where you even it out. So what you really do, you pay an annuity. So you pay the same for, let's say, 20 or 10 years, and so you're paying off your loan. So what I'm saying is, if all this would cost you 1 million euro, what will it cost you to pay it off the bank every year? Within 10 years, etc. So the formula is, and I've given you an example on it, A0, your annuity, that's your starting of your point, your 1 million, multiplied with your interest rate divided by 1 minus 1 plus the interest rate, uplifted in the power of the number of years. So let's give an example. You have 1 million You multiply, if you have an interest of 4%, 0.4 divided by 1 minus 1.04. And if you pay it off in 10 years, you say that. So then you get an annuity of what you have to pay. So this is your cost. You easily can calculate, say, this is what I have to depreciate every year. So it gives you very quick an overview of, once you get here, do I have a surplus or do I not have a surplus? Because in this one, you pay the interest also to the bank. So this is just really your depreciation costs divided out over a yearly annuity, plus the interest rate of loaning the money in this formula. Instead of having a very complicated calculation, 25%, 25%, 25%. What this is also called in your Excel sheet, all your sales here becomes your turnover. So this is the money I make. But to make this money, I had to do some investments, I had to have some labor or whatever. So you have some variable costs here, and you have a contribution margin 1. So what's left after I have paid my variable costs from my turnover? Once I paid all the variable costs, do I still have a surplus or what? And if not, I have to start revising some things here. Then you go to the fixed costs, and that's what you can calculate it as an annuity. What's left in the contribution margin 2 and 3 with the financial cost, the fixed cost? Do I still have a surplus? How big is this surplus? Because from that surplus, you also have to pay tax. This exercise was also a little sort of, we get all this excitement about aquaponics, but why isn't there so many commercial aquaponics? It takes a lot of money and insecure markets, lots of risk, etc. And you will find that out now also, start putting some numbers to these great ideas, etc. So this is again the whole purpose of also this exercise, that your business plan that you're going to present tomorrow and Saturday, or work with tomorrow and present Saturday, that it start having 2 legs to walk on, Great ideas, great creativity, but also a leg of realism, And therefore a chance of being a success.